Midjourney, the company best known for generating AI images, has demonstrated a prototype that lowers you into warm water and scans your body from multiple angles. The company wants that scan to take 60 seconds. Today, according to Midjourney's own engineering update, it takes more than 20 minutes. And the first stated use is body composition for general wellness, not cancer diagnosis, whole body screening, or MRI replacement. That does not make the scanner fake. It makes the gap between the machine and the medical promise much more important. Midjourney calls the system ultrasonic CT. Here, CT means computed tomography from ultrasound data, not an X-ray CT scanner. Sound waves are captured around the body and reconstructed computationally into cross-sectional images. Water provides consistent acoustic coupling. A ring of sensors transmits and receives ultrasound from many directions while the person moves through the scanner. Midjourney says the system generates enormous amounts of data for a compute cluster to reconstruct. And there is independent evidence that the hardware program is real. Butterfly Network says the current prototype uses 40 of its Ultrasound-on-Chip modules. Butterfly also filed a 5-year co-development and licensing agreement with the SEC. The disclosed fixed payment buckets, $15 million upfront, $10 million annually for 5 years, and up to $9 million in milestones, sum to as much as $74 million. Revenue sharing and chip purchases are separate, and the maximum remains conditional. So this is not merely concept art, it is also not clinical validation. The cleanest way to understand Midjourney Medical is to separate 4 categories: now, target, marketing, and unknown. Now, Midjourney says a scan takes more than 20 minutes. The first intended use is body composition for general wellness. The initial spa is still planned, not operating. Target: a scan in as little as 60 seconds, a large spa network, tens of thousands of scanners, and eventually 1 billion scans per month. Marketing: language suggesting images that could be superior to MRI and broad claims about preventing deaths or reducing healthcare costs. Unknown: organ-by-organ accuracy, repeatability, failure rates, false positives, false negatives, and whether the scanner improves any clinical outcome. A prototype can be real, while nearly every medically important performance question remains unanswered. There is a legitimate technical idea here. Ultrasound does not use ionizing radiation or require a high-field magnet. Water immersion provides consistent acoustic coupling, and collecting signals from many angles can provide information that one handheld view cannot. But the hard parts do not disappear. Bone and air interfaces constrain conventional ultrasound. Low-frequency transmission tomography is designed to model or mitigate some of those limits, not magically erase them. Existing papers include promising breast, orthopedic, pediatric, and animal work. Some of that literature is industry-authored, and none of it validates Midjourney's implementation. The correct question is not, can ultrasound ever produce a whole-body image? It is, for which organs, in which patients, against which reference standard, with what error rate, and how often does the scan fail? Midjourney has not publicly answered that question with independent organ-by-organ clinical evidence. Midjourney says it received an FDA 513G response identifying a Class 2 pathway under product code OMV with a 510K exempt category for the described body composition use. FDA's public database confirms that OMV exists as an ultrasonic body composition analyzer category. But the company-specific FDA letter and submitted device description are not public. FDA's generic OMV description is for a handheld analyzer that reflects ultrasound at selected body sites, while Midjourney describes an immersed, ring-based tomographic system. Without those records, the precise scope of the response cannot be independently checked. Either way, a body composition classification is not authorization to diagnose disease, conduct whole-body cancer screening, or claim equivalence to MRI. The simplest accurate version is this. Day 1 is wellness body composition, not a green light to diagnose cancer from a spa visit. If Midjourney later wants disease detection, treatment, or diagnostic claims, those claims bring a different evidence and regulatory burden. This is where the nursing and informatics problem starts. Whole body imaging of people without symptoms can find things that are serious, harmless, ambiguous, or simply impossible to classify from the first scan. In one whole body CT study, 37% of participants received a recommendation for further evaluation. A whole body MRI meta-analysis also found a substantial pooled rate of critical or indeterminate incidental findings. Those are not Midjourney's numbers. The technologies and populations are different. They show the general operational pattern. Sensitive imaging creates findings, and findings create work. Imagine the customer leaves a wellness spa with an unexpected colored region or a change from the previous scan. Who interprets it? Does the spa call a radiologist? Does the customer message primary care? Does primary care order a diagnostic ultrasound, CT, or MRI? Who tracks the referral? Who explains that the first image may have been wrong? And who confirms that the loop actually closed? No public Midjourney specific false positive or false negative rates were located by the July 23rd evidence cutoff. In general, false positives can produce anxiety, cost, procedures, and low-value surveillance. False negatives can create false reassurance or delay proven screening, and a technically incomplete region cannot quietly become normal. This is the core point. A scanner can avoid radiation and still create harm through interpretation, handoffs, and capacity. Talk to your doctor is not a closed-loop protocol. It is an export function. Repeated whole-body scans could create something strategically valuable. Longitudinal data showing how one person changes over time, plus a population scale corpus for reconstruction, segmentation, and future models. Midjourney's own scale and longitudinal language makes that a reasonable inference. But strategic value is not proof of motive. The public evidence does not establish the final consent, retention, de-identification, secondary use, or model training terms for medical scan data. Midjourney also frames the initial direct-to-consumer service as generally outside HIPAA's covered entity structure. Outside HIPAA does not mean outside every privacy obligation. Before this becomes healthcare infrastructure, consumers and health systems need plain answers. What is stored, for how long, who can use it, whether training is optional, whether deletion propagates, and what happens when the spa scan enters a medical record. Midjourney Medical deserves attention because the machine is real, the engineering program is funded, and ultrasound tomography has legitimate scientific potential. It does not yet deserve diagnostic trust. The current public case is a more than 20-minute wellness body composition prototype with a 60-second goal, a narrow reported regulatory lane, and no publicly available independent Midjourney specific evidence establishing MRI-level diagnostic performance or improved outcomes. The next breakthrough is not a prettier scan. It is validated accuracy, honest uncertainty, explicit consent, and a healthcare workflow capable of closing the loop when the machine finds something or misses it.